Let's begin with what's played out in Chandigarh today. That's become a big national talking point. In a mayoral election that was considered to be a safe battle for the AAP-Congress, which was their first India Bloc tie-up together, it turned out to be a big surprise. In a mega twist, the BJP emerged victor and the BJP's candidate was elected as the mayor. But there have been several allegations, including this clip that's going viral right now, which the AAP party is using to claim that the 8 votes that were made invalid, which thereby ensured the BJP's victory, was done by the presiding officer, that he kind of marked off on these ballots to ensure they were made invalid. It's led to a big political war of words because the AAP party is claiming that this entire election was rigged, that the presiding officer is a BJP stooge, that he ensured that these 8 votes were invalid. Because if you look at the numbers, essentially, it was the AAP and Congress who had the maximum number with 20. But with 8 votes becoming invalid, they lost out to the BJP. We'll be joined by AAP's Raghav Chadha in just a bit, but first take a look at this report on exactly what transpired.
Ruckus inside the assembly. Marshals called in to control the situation. Scenes of councillors in tears after the first drubbing for the India Bloc. These were the dramatic scenes witnessed at Chandigarh today after the declaration of mayoral polls. In a big upset, BJP's Manoj Sonkar was declared the mayor of Chandigarh after he won the mayoral polls with 16 votes against the 12 votes bagged by the Congress AAP Party candidate Kuldeep Singh.
ये सरियाम सीधा सी लोकतंत्र की हत्या है। जैसे कि आपने देखा है, जीत नहीं है, ये उनकी हार है। हमारी 20 वोटें पड़ी हैं पूरी, उन्हें 16 पड़ी हैं। उन्होंने हमारी 8 वोटें इनवैलिड करार कर दी गई हैं। किस कारणवश की गई ये भी नहीं बताया गया। उनकी इस तरह से वो हार है, इंडिया गठबंधन की जीत है। वो वीडियोग्राफी में सरियाम दिख रहा है कि कैसे प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर के साइन करते हुए हाथ भी हिल रहे हैं और वो टिक मार कैसे कर रहा है।
But here's the twist. 8 votes were declared invalid, which led to opposition leaders raising allegations of rigging and taking the fight to court.
36 में से 8 वोट इनवैलिड, मतलब 25% वोट। अगर इनसे 36 वोट काउंट करने में इतनी बड़ी धांधली कर रहे हैं, देश का जब बड़ा चुनाव होगा उसमें तो 90 करोड़ वोट पड़ते हैं, उसमें तो पता नहीं किस लेवल की धांधली करते हैं ये लोग। तो आज का चुनाव ये दिखाता है कि किस तरह से ये जीतने के लिए, सत्ता पाने के लिए किसी भी हद तक जा सकते हैं।
But even before the results were declared, there was ruckus after a 1-hour delay in the voting process. The Chandigarh mayoral polls has been a high-voltage battle as it was considered the first litmus test for the India Bloc. The loss has further weakened the opposition, which is already on the edge of collapse after Nitish Kumar walked out and joined hands with NDA. Bureau Report, India Today.
Away from all of the controversy, let's talk about really the political takeaways. And I want to bring in now AAP MP Raghav Chadha on this broadcast. Raghav, good evening. The reality is that the AAP Congress has right now lost the mayoral election in Chandigarh. And now with all of these claims of rigging, of conspiracy, is this just a case of sour grapes?
Look, first of all, there are total 36 votes that were to be cast in today's mayor elections. Out of 36, 20 were with the India Alliance, roughly 13 with AAP and 7 with Congress. 13 plus 7 is 20. That is, out of 36, 20 votes were fairly and squarely with the India Alliance. And the BJP had roughly 15 votes. Plus, if you were to add the Akali Dal's vote, then they have 16 votes. So out of 36, 16 was with the BJP and 20 was with the India Alliance. Therefore, everyone knew that the outcome of this has to be a victory for the India Alliance. However, what the BJP did, surprisingly, is first, they appointed their own office bearer of the BJP's minority wing as the presiding officer of the election, who is to oversee and conduct the election. Number 2, on the 18th of Jan, when the election was scheduled, the election officer calls in sick and doesn't show up, so that the election gets deferred. We go to the High Court, we get a fresh date of election, And today, which was the fresh date of election, the presiding officer committed an act of treason. It is not forgery. It is not merely an illegality or unconstitutionality. It was an act of treason. This man violated every rule in the book and with his own pen marked ink on the AAP votes and declared them invalid, which is caught on camera.
Yeah.
For the first time, 8 votes out of 36 have been declared invalid. Not a single vote of the BJP has been declared invalid, but out of 20 votes of the India Alliance, 8 votes have been declared invalid, and therefore the BJP has been declared the winner. And most surprisingly, for the first time, there was no election agent who was being permitted from any party to come close to the presiding officer to see the process of counting. Now, usually what happens is that I have a dummy ballot paper with me. Now, this dummy ballot paper or this ballot paper, the presiding officer shows this to election agents of all parties and then keeps them in the respective box. Like, for example, if somebody marks a vote for the BJP, he will show this dummy ballot paper to all election agents of all parties and will place it in the bucket of the BJP, and similarly for the India Alliance. In the event that there is some additional mark on the ballot paper or both these options, the BJP and the India Alliance, are marked, this vote is then shown to all election agents. They are taken into confidence and then this vote is declared invalid. This is the process. This time, no election agent was permitted to come close to the presiding officer. No votes were ever shown to the election agents. No votes were ever shown to the election agents before terming them invalid. And lastly, when the election concluded, we went to the presiding officer to check the vote. He ran away. He literally ran away with the entire ballot paper of 36 people and rushed out of the venue.
You know, Raghav, on that point, the newly elected BJP mayor has said that it was the AAP and Congress workers who actually tore up these ballot papers and created all of that ruckus.
Well, quite frankly, everything is caught on camera because the Honorable High Court directed a videography of the entire event. You can see this completely and it will be absolutely clear to you what the BJP has done. In fact, the presiding officer himself, Akshita, is caught in the video putting an additional mark of ink on the Aam Aadmi Party's and the Congress's votes. He himself is caught on camera putting an ink on the ballot paper so that the ballot paper later on can be declared invalid. And why was the ballot paper not shown to these election agents? Why did he run away with it after the election? So all these point towards only one thing, that the BJP felt and knew that they're going to lose this election. In order to prevent a defeat, they have rigged the whole process. They have committed the highest form of illegality and unconstitutionality, and it is an attack on India's democracy. I term it, and I have no hesitation in saying this, this is an act of treason. This is Deshdroh, what BJP has done.
So in light of what's happened and these 8 votes, Raghav, that have been declared invalid, do you think that if that didn't happen, the result would be very, very different in the mayoral election?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine out of 36, 20 votes are with the India Alliance. Out of those 20, that is the majority is with the India Alliance. Out of those 28 votes are declared invalid. If those votes were not declared invalid, as they have wrongfully and illegally been declared invalid, they would have fallen in the India Alliance vote kitty. That means we would have had 20 votes out of 36, which means that we have the majority. The majority figure was 18, 19. We had 20 votes. We had one more than the majority mark. So therefore, it's very clear that it has been strategically done to ensure that Aam Aadmi Party and Congress doesn't win. Please spare a thought. Forget this small election of Chandigarh for 1 minute. Spare a thought that if the BJP can go to this level, stoop to this low level to rig an election process in an inconsequential, insignificant Chandigarh mayor election, imagine how much they can rig the election machinery for the Lok Sabha 2024 elections. My appeal to all your viewers is, in the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, don't vote to make a candidate win or to defeat a candidate. Vote to save India's democracy. Because if BJP wins the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, it would perhaps be the last election and India will become a China or a Russia or a North Korea like democracy.
That's a comment Mr. Kharge also has made. But obviously the election process itself, Raghav, is very different. Here, it was, as you pointed out, a mayoral election that you're comparing to a general election, ballot paper versus EVM. So, can you really talk about rigging on a larger scale in the general election, as you're saying?
Well, of course, but in ballots, at least what illegality is being done can be caught easily because he has to manually do it. I shudder to think what kind of gerrymandering can be done with the integrity of the the whole election process, which is conducted by VVPATs and EVMs. So I think it is a dangerous sign for India's democracy what's happening. And if the BJP can stoop to this level for a mayor election, I shudder to think what all riggings and illegalities these people are going to commit in the upcoming Lok Sabha 2024.
No, so now, what's the next step, Raghav? You've moved the courts, and what's your demand now? I know that you've said that there should be action against the presiding officer, but are you now demanding a fresh election?
Look, we have of course moved the court and the matter is likely to come up tomorrow. We have the following demands. First of all, today's illegal and unconstitutional election needs to be set aside. Number two, a fresh election needs to be conducted, which should be free and fair. Number three, instead of this presiding officer who was nominated by the BJP and who is BJP's own office bearer needs to be removed, and a retired judge chosen by the Honorable High Court needs to be deputed as the presiding officer to oversee the election. And number four, Mr. Anil Masi, who was today's presiding officer, needs to be booked and perhaps even arrested for charges of forgery, illegality, unconstitutionality, and for committing an act of treason.
My final question to you, Raghav, is keeping aside all of these allegations of rigging and conspiracy that you've leveled, if you look at the result itself, it's bad news for the India Bloc. You made comments saying that this is essentially the first step where the India Alliance is coming together. We're going to see the result of that. This is laying the foundation stone for the upcoming general elections. And you've lost. The AAP-Congress reality is right now has lost this election.
So this does two things. First, this India Alliance, which was the first match that AAP and Congress played as one unit, as alliance partners under the banner of India Alliance, has brought these two parties together. I think there was great working relationship that all of us enjoyed, and I personally enjoyed with Mr. Pawan Bansal in Chandigarh. So that's a positive. The negative is that this election is not a setback for the alliance or for AAP or for Congress. I think this election is a setback for India's democracy. I think this is the larger message, that if the largest party, the ruling party of this country that controls all resources, that has unlimited amount of power and unmeasurable amount of money, can stoop to these levels to rig a small election because they don't want to suffer a defeat at the hands of India Alliance, imagine what all wrongdoings these guys can commit. I think it is a setback for democracy, not just for any alliance or any political organization.
All right, Raghav Chadha, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Like we mentioned, you've moved the court, so we'll see what plays out tomorrow, whether you get any sort of legal relief. But thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. So that particular story is now snowballing into a political controversy. But the biggest political headline of the day has no doubt been what's been playing out in the ED offices. And several opposition leaders essentially are being questioned at the same time, being summoned at the same time. The big headline, of course, is to do with the Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, illegal land mining. He's been summoned several times. Tomorrow, he said he will appear. Remains to be seen if that will happen. But it's not just Hemant Soren. Several other leaders. Today, Tejasvi Yadav has also been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. He's being questioned as we speak. Lalu was questioned yesterday, both of them in the dock for the land for job scam. Arvind Kejriwal in the national capital, again, in the liquor policy scam. And I can go on with this list. Names will keep coming up on your screens of all of the opposition leaders who currently are facing heat from central agencies, from the ED and the CBI. But let's talk about what's happened with Hemant Soren and how there was reports of him going missing. For 40 hours, nobody knew where he was. Till finally here on India Today, we got footage of him actually appearing in Ranchi when everyone thought he was in Delhi. He says he will appear before the Enforcement Directorate tomorrow, but amid that there are questions about whether he's setting the stage to ensure that if he's arrested, it's his wife who takes over as the Chief Minister.
Went missing for 41 hours. Jharkhand's chief minister made a dramatic appearance at his Ranchi home on Tuesday. Hemant Soren at the center of ED investigations. As his whereabouts remained unknown, the Enforcement Directorate seized 2 BMWs, 36 lakh in cash and documents during searches at Soren's official residence in New Delhi late Monday. The ED investigating at least 3 cases of money laundering. Investigators suspect his involvement in illegal mining and land deals.
The sources are saying at this point of time they have gathered huge amount of evidence against Hemant Soren in all 3 money laundering cases. The illegal mining case, the coal scam case and the land scam case. But before making the arrest, ED sources claim that they want to give one more chance to Hemant Soren so that he can defend himself, and later on, after the questioning, they will decide whether to call Hemant Soren once again for questioning or whether he should be placed under arrest.
After his arrival in Ranchi, purportedly from Delhi, the Jharkhand CM met MLAs of the ruling alliance of JMM, Congress and the RJD. He also met his cabinet ministers. His wife Kalpana Soren, speculated to take over the chief minister's post, was also present. Security, meanwhile, tightened around the CM residence, the Raj Bhavan and the ED office in Ranchi. According to insiders, every legislator of the ruling alliance has been asked to stay put in the national capital amid the current situation. His party alleged political witch hunt.
क्या उसका नियम था जो ईडी किया उस तरह जाने का है नियम? बताइए। आप लोग वो चीज तो बोलते नहीं हैं। जब तक 21 तारीख 29 से 31 का डेट दिया हुआ था, तो कैसे चल गया वो चीज तो आप लोग बोलिएगा नहीं।
But Soren's opponents escalated their attack on the chief minister, citing his disappearance as the ED looked for him as part of investigations.
छुप के थोड़े जाएगा कोई मुख्यमंत्री भाई। अब मुख्यमंत्री छुप के जा रहा है, छुप के भाग रहा है, छुपे फिर रहा है, ये तो आश्चर्य है।
The ED believes it has a watertight case against the Jharkhand chief minister.
In all likelihood, when Hemant Soren faces the ED tomorrow, he will be asked about his alleged involvement in illegal land holdings. That is the land mafia case the ED is investigating, and alleged mismanagement of funds linked to the bank accounts that are linked to that of his wife. These are the possible questions that the ED will be posing him with, and it will be interesting to see that what is the ammunition that Hemant Soren has prepared this time. With video journalist Shailendra, this is Shreya Chatterjee for India Today.
All right, let's bring in Shreya Chatterjee, who's joining us live from Ranchi with the latest updates on this. Shreya, good evening. A lot of questions that have been asked about where Hemant Soren really was for 40 hours plus that, you know, everyone was questioning, and the ED claimed he was missing. Nobody knew where he was. But at the same time, there will also be a question of why the Enforcement Directorate was looking for him when he's promised he's going to appear before the agency tomorrow. Is he going to keep up that promise? Is he going to appear before the agency tomorrow?
In all likelihood, he should, Akshita, because he's actually written in an email response to the ED that he will be appearing before him at this same residence where I'm standing right now tomorrow at 1 p.m. Now, on the question on why did the ED turn up at Hemant Soren's residence, remember, ED on Saturday had sent the 9th summons suggesting that please give us a response that whether you will be appearing before us on the 29th or the 31st. However, a response did not go to the ED till the time of 29th morning when ED went ahead with their action. Now, ED's action was not just based on the summons that they have given. They also received certain fresh inputs which they wanted to go ahead with, search the residences and also apprise the CM about. That's precisely why the ED is going ahead and saying they have seized his BMW car, got some incriminating documents and 36 lakh of rupees. Now, what is the counter that the JMM is giving to this? They are saying that the CM had very well responded. Why is the ED creating a confusion? to the answer that why did the CM not return to Ranchi via flight. The General Secretary of JMM in a press conference suggested that in the Constitution, nowhere is it written that if I go to a place via flight, I have to take it back the same manner. So these are counter questions and questions that are being posed from the ED and the JMM side. We can say that today's day was that to JMM, but tomorrow is the day he will be facing the ED. It will be interesting to see how they take it from then onwards.
And this issue has quickly turned political as well, with many saying that Hemant Soren has essentially set the stage for his wife to take over as the Chief Minister if he's arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. We'll see what plays out tomorrow. Thanks very much, Shreya, for joining us with all of those details. Not just Hemant Soren, as I told you earlier, Tejaswi Yadav, as we speak, is still being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in the Land for Jobs case. The same scam in which his father, Lalu Prasad, was questioned yesterday by the Enforcement Directorate. Let's round up for you the allegations and also the questionnaire that we've accessed here on India Today of exactly what the ED is asking Tejaswi right now. Trouble for Lalu family mounts. A day after RJD chief Lalu Prasad was grilled for nearly 10 hours, the Enforcement Directorate on Tuesday questioned his son and former Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar, Tejaswi Yadav, in the Land for Jobs scam. The RJD is calling the ED probe political witch hunt by the BJP.
विपक्ष को तो ये मान लेना चाहिए कि उनको चुनाव भी लड़ना है और इन एजेंसी से भी संघर्ष करना है, लेकिन नतीजे अगर उलट आए ना तो जो लोग आज ईडी, आईटी, सीबीआई से ये करवा रहे हैं सबके सब जद में आएंगे.
Lalu's party also slammed Chief Minister Nitish Kumar for changing his stand on the issue.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी से आग्रह होगा कि आपने तो कहा था कि इसकी गलती नहीं है, इसको तो वो लोग फंसा दिया, तो जब वो लोग फंसा दिया तो सर आपसे आग्रह होगा कि कुछ बोलिए आज.
There's more trouble ahead for the Yadavs. Lalu's wife Rabdi Devi and their two daughters Hema Yadav and Misa Bharti have been asked to appear before a Delhi court on February 9th. The Congress has rallied behind their ally.
जब जब सत्ता का परिवर्तन उन्हें करना होता है तब तब वो ईडी का, सीबीआई का, सीडी का बेजा इस्तेमाल करते हैं. वो कोई नई बात नहीं है. लालू जी को सिर्फ इसलिए परेशान किया जा रहा है, उनके परिवार को इसलिए परेशान किया जा रहा है कि बीजेपी की वॉशिंग मशीन में धुलने के लिए तैयार नहीं.
The BJP has hailed ED action as a crackdown on corruption.
नौकरी के बदले जमीन लेने के ऐसे काम, गरीबों का शोषण इन लोगों ने किया है. गरीबों के नेता बनने के नाम पर किसी से जमीन लिया, किसी से रिश्वत ली, किसी से कैसे कैसे लोगों ने तो जांच का सामना कर रहे हैं. ईडी एक स्वतंत्र एजेंसी है, उसका जवाब दे. कानून अपना काम करेगा. मोदी जी के जमाने में भ्रष्टाचार पर जीरो टॉलरेंस.
Corruption investigations against opposition leaders are gathering pace in election year. The question now is whether any of them will be arrested in the run-up to the general elections. Bureau Report, India Today. And let me bring in on this broadcast Aditya Vaibhav, who's joining us live from Patna. Aditya, immediately after the developments that have happened in your state of Nitish Kumar going back to the NDA, we've been seeing all of this agency heat on the RJD. Lalu Prasad yesterday, Tejaswi today. Many of the family members are also facing the Enforcement Directorate heat in the Land for Jobs scam right now. Politically, does this have an impact for the RJD?
Well, exactly, Akshita. As far as Bihar scenario is concerned, of course, first it was Bihar political turmoil that actually saw the government being toppled and a new government being formed under the same chief minister. But then, immediately after that, back-to-back questioning of Lalu Yadav first and now Tejaswi Yadav is something that has triggered a political storm as far as Bihar is concerned. I can show you clear visuals outside the ED office and you can clearly see that a sea of supporters, RJD supporters, throng the entire locality, and this has also put to a grinding halt the traffic on this flank of road. But then we've been given to understand that The questioning of Tejaswi Prasad Yadav continues for more than 7 hours in a row, and we've been given to understand that several questions pertaining to the acquisition of said properties is being asked by the Enforcement Directorate officials. Notable is the fact that the RJD supporters out here are expressing solidarity with their leader Tejaswi Yadav, while they criticize the BJP for orchestrating the entire scenario. Akshita.
All right. Thanks very much, Aditya, for those details. You can see that there have been protests that have broken out through the day. Solidarity protests being held by RJD leaders right now in Patna and here in Delhi. Let me also tell you about the other opposition leader who's facing heat. This is Sanjay Rao, the MP, of course, from the Uddhav Sena. His brother has been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate over allegations of being involved in a COVID scam. Now, in Maharashtra, this did in fact rock the state for the last many years. And now the Enforcement Directorate, which had started off its formal investigation, had summoned Sanjay Rao's brother, and he has in fact been questioned. Now, remember that Sanjay Rao, through all of these allegations, has claimed that it's completely untrue. He's called it politically motivated. Let's get you some of the reactions that have come in on the story.
संदीप जी, ये बताइए कि कुछ ऐसे आरोप लगाए गए थे कि जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स इन्वॉल्व थे खिचड़ी वितरण के मामले में, उन्होंने आपके अकाउंट में पैसे ट्रांसफर किए।
नहीं भाई, मैंने तो पैसे ट्रांसफर करने उन्हें नहीं कहा था। उन्होंने मेरा किचन जो लिया था, किचन जो यूज़ किया था, किचन में मेरा मटेरियल स्टॉक था, मेरा पानी का बिल, मेरा लाइट का बिल, मेरा मटेरियल, मेरा ट्रांसपोर्ट, मेरा लेबर सब उन्होंने यूज़ किया था। उसका पैसा उन्होंने दिया, मैं ले नहीं रहा था, वो ट्रांसफ़र किया और मैंने लोगों को दे दिया।
सर, बीजेपी के नेता किरीट सोमैया का ये आरोप था कि आपको एक कमीशन के तौर पे ये पैसा आपको ट्रांसफ़र किया गया है।
सर, कमीशन कैसा है? कमीशन उन्होंने लिया है विक्रांत का, 38 करोड़ का 40 करोड़ का कमीशन उन्होंने लिया है। वो कहाँ गया? वो छुपा दिया। उसको भी बाहर निकलो भाई जरा।
सर, ये जानना चाहेंगे, आज संजय राउत जी भी आपको यहाँ पर छोड़ने आए थे, क्या कहना था उनका? ईडी ने उनकी भी इंक्वायरी की थी, उन्हें भी अरेस्ट किया था एक केस में।
यही कहा, अगर हमने गलती नहीं की है तो किसी को डरने की बात नहीं है। मैं भी डरा नहीं हूँ, मैं 3.5 महीना अंदर जाके आऊँ और मेरा आदर्श रखो।
सर, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स का ये आरोप था कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स पर कि उन्होंने 300 ग्राम खिचड़ी के बदले 100 ग्राम खिचड़ी वितरित।
ये मुझे पता नहीं, मैंने जो है उन्होंने पैकिंग किया वही लेके गए।
400 पार है तो ये नीतीश कुमार को तोड़ो, शिवसेना को तोड़ो, एनसीपी को तोड़ो, हेमंत सोरेन के ऊपर रेड करो, केजरीवाल जी के ऊपर रेड करो। हाँ, ये नौटंकी क्यों चल रही है? आप डर गए हो 400 पार के, आपको 200 नहीं, आप 200 पार नहीं करने जा रहे हो। 400 पार की बात छोड़ दो, आपको 200 पार करने की आपकी औकात नहीं है, इसलिए आप ये सब करके आपका जुगाड़ जो है बहुमत का आप करना चाहते हो, लेकिन नहीं होगा। आप हारने जा रहे हो, आपको राम भी नहीं बचा रहा।
Let me bring in Divyesh now on this broadcast. He's joining us live from Mumbai. Divyesh, good evening. Run us through the allegations essentially against Sanjay Raut's brother and what's emerged from the grilling. Is it still underway?
Well, it is still underway. Akshita, Sandeep Raut, Sanjay Raut's brother, arrived at around 12 noon at the Enforcement Directorate office, and it is being alleged that Sandeep Raut had received funds from those contractors who had secured contracts for distribution of khichdi, distribution of food packets during the COVID lockdown period. There was a scheme launched by the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation to distribute food packets to daily wage laborers, migrants and several others who were not getting any food supplied during the lockdown. These packets were of 300 grams each, but the contractors were only distributing 100 grams of khichdi per packet, and they had submitted inflated bills for the same to BMC. That is the FIR that was registered by the Mumbai police, after which ED started investigation. And when ED started investigation, it came to light that Sandeep Raut, brother of Sanjay Raut, had received some funds directly into his bank account from the contractors who had received contracts for distribution of
So those are the allegations that Divyesh is running us through. Investigation and the questioning by Enforcement Directorate still underway. Thanks very much, Divyesh, for getting us those details. Tragic news that's coming in right now from Chhattisgarh's Sukhma, where we've lost 3 soldiers. They've been killed in action. This is in a Naxal encounter that broke out. 14 soldiers have also been injured in this encounter. Now, the condition of the injured soldiers, we're being told, is not critical, but they have been rushed right now to Raipur for further treatment. We've lost 3 of our soldiers in this attack. We understand that soon after, an encounter also broke out with Maoists. Sukma, of course, sees, unfortunately, this kind of surge of Naxal activity every few months. And in the course of eliminating this threat to residents, you see our forces are also bravely putting up a fight and very often being trapped in Naxal firing. All right, this has happened in Sukma, and all of the soldiers right now, 14 of whom have been injured in this attack, have right now been rushed also to the hospital in Raipur. They've been moved out of Sukma urgently. We'll get you, of course, more on what's the current situation, because we understand that the soldiers are also trying to ensure that they locate the Maoists who attacked them in this manner in Sukma. The images are also, of course, on your screens right now, but unfortunately, the incidents of these Naxal attacks in Sukma and the Maoist-infested areas of Chhattisgarh continuing to pour in every few months. So this is, in fact, the news coming in right now. We will connect with my colleague Sumi to get you more details on exactly what's happened in Chhattisgarh. What we're hearing is that the 14 soldiers who've been injured are out of danger. All right, Jitendra Bahadur is joining us with more details on this. Jitendra, get us the latest on this incident. What happened?
देखिए, आज सीआरपीएफ के जवान जगरगुडा का जो जंगल है सुकमा में, वहां पर फॉरवर्ड ऑपरेटिंग बेस जो बनाया गया है, वहां पर वो सारे जवान पहुंचे थे। कोबरा कमांडो भी उसमें मौजूद थे। उस दौरान जो घात लगा करके नक्सली हैं, उनकी तरफ से हमला किया गया और उस हमले में सीआरपीएफ के जो 3 जवान हैं वो शहीद हो गए हैं। इसके साथ ही 14 सीआरपीएफ के कोबरा कमांडो के जवान हैं।
Tragic news there of 3 soldiers having lost their lives in that Naxal attack. We'll track the latest that comes in on that incident and what's really played out and what's the situation currently in Sukma.